Hey, Carrie Rhoades here with CarrieStamps.com. On today's video, I'm going to be showing you my pink bubblegum Christmas card. This card has a lot of shine and shimmer, and we get that look using the Glimmer Hot Foil Machine by Spellbinders. So we're going to play with that and do some fun little techniques. So let's get stamping. Here are some of the cool things we're going to be using for today's video. The Stay Cozy Stamp Set by Fun Stamper's Journey, or FSJ. We're going to be using a lot of the images in this set. We're also going to be using this die set called Globe and Ornament Shaker Tag by Honeybee. We're going to be using this glimmer plate by Spellbinders. It says Happy Holidays. And we'll use the silver foil along with some other fun inks and papers. But the first thing we're going to do is get our glimmer machine heated up. So here's the glimmer machine right here. It has the on and off button there, so you're just going to turn that on. And I'm going to just get this set up so it can be ready off camera when we are. So I'm going to scoot this over. I'm going to lay my die right on the foil, and then I'm going to cut off a piece of this foil that's just the right size for this particular plate. It's very thin material, like that. And this is the roll that comes with the glimmer machine. Then you want to take your plate and lay it on there. You can lay it on once it says the platform's ready. I'm just going to go ahead and lay it on here now. Okay, and then we'll wait for that to say it's ready. While we're waiting, I'm going to stamp the inside of my card. I'm going to use this large stamp that has the cottages and the snowy scene, and then I'm also going to use this tree. I'm going to use my mini Misty to stamp this on the, like I said, the inside of the card, and I'm using bubblegum pink. That's why I call this my bubblegum Christmas card. And I want to have kind of the scene in the background of my card so that it is just kind of subtle. So I'm going to stamp with the same color ink. Let's pick up the stamps first. So I want the background to be subtle, so I'm going to stamp with the same color ink as my paper, bubblegum. This ink is from Fun Stamper's Journey, as well as the paper. And then I like to use the Misty here because I want it to be subtle, but I want it to be a crisp image. And sometimes when you're stamping tone on tone, having that chance to double stamp it really helps it to be a nice clean image. There we have it. We're going to remove those and add our sentiment. I'm going to put it right here. Pick that up. And this time we will ink it with black licorice. And we might stamp this one twice too. Might as well. There we go. And we'll clean off this ink so I don't accidentally get my hand in it, because I'm sure you've experienced that and maybe ruined a card or two because of it. So we'll get that out of the way. So now that becomes the inside of the card, and it's stamped and cute, and we've got some fun things going on there. So we'll move this out of the way. And now I like to do the stamping first because now I have my card front ready to go, and I won't interrupt that inside when I want to stamp later. All right, so we're waiting for our hot foil machine to get warm. Excuse me. I wanted to point out that it comes with this machine that plugs in. It's heating up this plate, and then the plate is heating up this glimmer foil thing that looks like a die, but it's actually a plate. And it's going to press this foil into our paper. So I'm going to lay the foil shiny side down. And then I'm going to add my paper because we see that the platform is now ready. So I'm going to add my paper. Now this is hot, so you want to be careful. And then it also comes with the hot foil thin shim. So we're going to carefully lay that down. I feel like the static can make your paper crooked, so I like to come in from an angle. And then we have our spacer pad. So we're going to lay that on, and then we're going to push the timer. Now this timer light is going to blink, and we'll blink for, it's like 30 seconds. And then when it stops blinking, we know it's time to run it through our die cut machine. All right, you can see that the timer has stopped flashing. So now we can just remove this plate from the base, and we can run it through the die cut machine. I'm going to take this off screen, turn it off, and we'll run this through. And I'll run it back. I'm not sure if you need to run it back and forth. Now this is hot, so you want to be careful with that. I just put it right back on the machine. There you can see we have our cardstock, and the foil is all stuck to it. Now you can remove this with the tweezers that are provided. It's got a magnet in it, so you can easily pick that up. And it has a little mat that you can lay it on to cool off. Now we're going to remove this foil, and you see we've got a nice shimmer foiled image there. If you happen to get any excess foil where you don't want it, you can use a sanding eraser to remove that. This is by Tombow. All right, so we have that. Now we're going to add some sponging to it to create our little pink glow. So I'm going to be using the bubblegum ink and my sponge dauber. Pick up some ink, and we're going to start in the middle. And then we're going to blend this out so it gets lighter. Now that middle part is going to be covered up with my ornament. And I can go right over the Happy Holidays because the foil resists the ink. Kind of like Emboss Resist. So I'm just going to blend that out, and then you can see my sponge is kind of disintegrating. This is the last time for this sponge. So we'll just dust that away. And then I've got a nice pink kind of glow here. Now this card was inspired because the other morning we had a beautiful sunrise that was pink, and we have snow on our rooftops, and there were Christmas lights on, and it was just like such a pretty scene that I wanted to recreate that feel on a card. So now for this focal piece of our card, I'm going to be using the die set from Honeybee, the Globe and Ornament Shaker die set. I'm going to be making an ornament, so I'm going to use this piece and the ornament topper piece. But you can see you can also use these pieces, flip it around, and create a snow globe. You can make shakers with them. It's a really fun little die set by Honeybee. So we're going to die cut an ornament shape. So now we're going to need the plates that come with our die cut machine. And from whipped cream cardstock, I'm going to die cut the ornament and the little topper. On here, we're going to now stamp an image from our same stamp set, Stay Cozy. So I'm going to put this ornament in my MISTI, bring in the smaller of the cottage scenes, lay that where I want it, and then I'm going to ink my stamp up with clear pigment ink. And before I stamp it down, I'm going to go ahead and rub this with an anti-static tool so that the embossing powder is only going to stick to my stamped image. All right, then we're going to emboss that with silver powder. This silver embossing powder by FSJ. Sprinkle that on and tap off the excess. Now I'm going to leave my extra powder in the coffee filter because we're going to use that again. And I'm going to go ahead and heat this up. So I'm going to take my little topper and I'm going to stick it on the sticky part of my Post-it note. And I'm going to create a silver topper with this by pressing this into my embossing ink and dipping it into my powder. Tap off the excess. I'm going to heat set this. I'm not going to worry about that excess powder. It's just a tiny bit. Now I want this to be really thick with powder, so while it's hot, I'm going to dip it again and heat it a second time. Doing this just makes a really thick piece that really resembles a real ornament topper. So maybe 2 times is enough. Maybe you want 3. And then that just peels away. And you want to give it a minute to dry. Well, that powder's still hot. And then you have a nice, thick, embossed, almost an embellishment piece. And then we can pour this back into the bottle. And now we're going to do some coloring while we're waiting for that to cool. I'm going to be using the Bubblegum True Color Fusion ink. This is the refill for this pad. You want to shake this up to mix the ink with the liquid that's in there, and then we just need a drop of ink. And to color with this, you need a blending solution. So I'm using the Fusion Blender that FSJ also sells. I'm going to put 1 drop of it in there. You really do not need that much of it to do this technique at all. Then I'm going to be using my medium blending brush. I have this one taped because it's the one I like to keep set aside for using the Fusion Blender. And then I like a paper towel because I don't want a lot of the Fusion Blender in my bristles. I just want to take a dot of it, pick up some of the ink, and then I kind of use a third of the palettes to kind of blend that around. And then if you have your paper towel handy, you can dot this off because I'm going to be coloring in some really small areas. So I'm just going to add kind of a pink glow to this image. So I'm kind of tracing near, in, and around the Christmas trees. Well, I guess they're just pine trees. And the little cottage. And all along these paths. I'll get some more ink. And just dot it in. So you might be tempted to put the blending solution inside of this brush. If you were doing a big area, that might be okay, but it can bleed out really fast. So I suggest just picking up a dot. You need very little of the blending solution to color with these inks. And I just like it that it matches my paper and the ink I'm using so well. All right, so there we have it. Just little touches, a little pink glow on everything. I love it. And then you can just clean this brush off and it's ready to go for the next color you want to use. I think our topper should be dry now, so we can bring that in. Yeah, it's cooled. And we'll glue that right to the top of our ornament with some liquid glue. Make sure it's on there straight, centered, and then I have this extra piece I'm going to use to cover the entire back of it just to make my ornament a little bit sturdier. So line those up. We have our cute little ornament. Now, when I saw this sunrise the other morning, everything was very shimmery. So I thought I would bring in my sparkle silk. See all the shimmer collected in the bottom there? Shake that up, and I'm going to add some shimmer to this. I'm going to use the brush on this to just apply it directly from the bottle and spread it around. You could dot it on kind of like snow. You can brush it on. However you like. There, now everything's all shimmery and beautiful. All right, to finish off our tag or our ornament, I have a little piece of white twine here, and I'm going to tie that onto the topper. Now you want to give the shimmer a little time to dry, but that sparkle silk dries pretty fast. I love that about it. All right, so just a tiny little white bow here. You could also do pink. There is bubblegum thread, so that would be cute on this too, or silver, or some ribbon, just like that. Let's put our card all together. So first I'm going to take my background with my foiled sentiment, and I'm going to glue that onto a frame of gray cardstock. That gray cardstock is just going to be a very small border, about 1/8 of an inch all the way around. You can see I cut out the center of that so I would not waste any paper. So the gray layer started out at 4 by 5 1/4. I die cut the center of it with the second to the largest rectangle frame from the Journey rectangle die set, and that gave me the border. And then the top piece, the white piece, is 3 7/8 by 5 1/8, so it layers up really nice. I'm going to mount my ornament right over my sponging, my blended background, with some foam squares. Make sure it's straight. Beautiful. Then this whole piece we're going to put on our card. I'm going to just reinforce my crease since I have that folded inside out, so to speak, from stamping the inside. And then I'm going to go ahead and pop this onto the card base as well. I like to use quite a few foam squares just to keep it nice and sturdy. You could also use foam tape here, or a piece of fun foam would be great. It will help it be more sturdy and give you that nice dimension. I always like to pop this layer on my card. Gives it a little bit of a kind of a drop shadow. And then we want that pink border all the way around. And there we have our bubblegum Christmas card. Thanks so much for watching. If you have any questions about this card or the hot foil machine, please don't hesitate to ask. You can find all the products I used in the description box below. Don't forget to subscribe and click the little bell if you'd like to see when I upload more videos. Happy stamping! Bye-bye.